One of my favorite personal finance gurus from the US, ang pangalan po niya is Dave Ramsey. He said personal finance is 80% behavior and only 20% skill and head knowledge. Ang ibig pong sabihin niyan is most of the way that our finances will work, ang pera natin is due to our behavior, yung mga ugali. So let's take a look. What are the Filipino toxic money behaviors that affect the way we handle money? Marami po yan, but we will unpack 3 and then we will see what we can do about those 3 today. My name is Edric Mendoza. Welcome to Fundamentals. So, ang unang titingnan natin is what I like to call big time. What does big time mean? This is the feeling of suddenly having money, whether it's from a bonus or an allowance or a gift or padala, right? In the Filipino context, when we have this sudden inflow of money, the tendency, the Filipino money behavior that can be toxic is inagastos natin biglaan. Manlilibre tayo, wow, big time. Manlilibre ako, magpapadala ako, or magbibigay ako, ganyan, or magbibili ako ng mga bagay. Suddenly, with all that money, or that surge of money, we spend it. And I remember the case of an Aita, actually. Very recently, we went on a trip, and these guides that took us around were Aitas, and we were so fascinated. Tuwang-tuwa po kami sa binigay na to. We gave them a nice tip, we paid their fees, and they were very happy. We told them the next day babalik kami. And we wanted them to be there with us and to show us more of what they learned so that our children would enjoy and we'd have a good time with them. The next day, pagpunta namin, wala sila. Tinanong namin, anong nangyari? Nung nakuha nila yung pera, because it had been a long time since they received money due to the pandemic, alam mong ginawa nila? Nag-inuman, nalasing. At dahil nalasing, hindi sila nakapunta the next day to even make more money. And that is the tragedy. If we suddenly have this money and we feel like we're big time and we don't spend it properly or we don't put it in the right place, it can go away just like you saw and we're not able to even make extra possible income. So that's the first thing, big time. How do we fix the problem of big time? My suggestion, in order for us to improve, ang kailangan natin gawin is look at seed time. From big time to seed time. Ano yung seed time? Ang bigat naman nun, Edric. Seed time, I like the words from a guy I met. This guy was able to do very well with money. His name is Larry Cortez. At ang sabi po niya is, we need to learn to spend the seed of a seed. So ano yung sabihin po nun? If we're able to receive money, sudden inflow from wherever, instead of thinking about how to spend it first, let's ask ourselves, where can we invest it? Or where can we put it so that it makes money for us? And when we're able to do that, then we get that seed and we see it grow. And when it grows, we can now spend the seed of that seed. Kung ano nangyari doon, or what we now gain from that investment, we can now use to spend and still do that. Treat other people with the blessings we received, enjoy it on buying things for ourselves or our children. But this time, because it is invested, that investment will still keep giving us money that we can use. We don't want to eat the seed. We want to spend the seed of the seed. So yan, instead of big time, gastos kaagad, we move to seed time. Invest first and then spend what we earn from that investment. That is tip number 1 on the toxic habits. Number 2 is sana all. Alam naman natin yan, ano? This desire to have more when we see someone posting something or someone mentions something, sana all. In other words, I want that also. There's nothing wrong with these desires. But the danger is, it becomes a toxic Filipino sa atin money habit when it is no longer a need and it just becomes greed. Hindi naman natin kailangan. But because we desire it so much, it leads to us doing things like what I did. Meron po akong gustong sasakyan dati at wala naman ako pambayad. And instead of working with my means, instead, I said, bahala na. I might just get an extra promotion, extra bonus, and so I will buy it anyway. And that resulted in my family and me almost losing everything. You see, there's something dangerous about greed when we go past the need. So instead of sana all, we need to ask ourselves a hard question. Bakit ba natin gusto itong mga bagay na ito na hindi naman natin talaga kailangan? And if that is what's driving us, then we need to ask, deeper down, are we trying to feel something? Meron bang butas ang puso natin? Kaya natin ginagawa to. Is there something we're trying to buy to feel the unhappiness that we're feeling? Well, let me propose something to you. What I've learned in my life and in the lives of many people is the only thing, the only person that can satisfy that is God. So instead of sana all, let's move to all. God, you are all that I need. You are all that I desire. At kung ganun po tayo, I've seen it in my life, that became part of my money journey and that story where I almost lost everything. I said, God, you're all I need. You show me how you want me to deal with your things, and I will be a better steward because it's all yours and you're all I need. At yun po, my life has changed forever since that point. Number 3, ito na po yung final. And I love the sequence. The first is from big time to seed time. I explained that. The second is all about, we don't want to say sana all, although it's fun. Instead, we want to say all. God, you're all I need, and you will provide all that I need. No? As we say these things, as we move in, the third one is now poverty mindset. One of the most dangerous, toxic Filipino habits is pag sinasabi ng tao na hanggang dito lang ako. And it really breaks my heart, and it really ignites my heart to make sure that people who have that mindset can break free. And I can say this with credibility dahil ako din po, yung lolo ko galing sa paghihirap. He was born in Bulacan. He was a kariton vendor, and when he first got married, nakatira sila sa Tondo. Sa sahig lang po natutulog, matres silang mag-asawa. And because of his mindset na, you know what, hindi lang ako hanggang dito. He was able to get out of poverty. He was able to find a sponsor to send him to college. Dahil po mahilig siya sa art, he became a very respected architect. Napaaral niya yung tatay ko sa good schools. Nagkaroon ng magandang buhay ang tatay ko, and because of that, he was able to get me into good schools as well. And I remember my grandfather and that story because it proves, even in my life, that this mindset can be dangerous, but it can be overcome. From poverty mindset, we need to have a possible mindset. At isa pong final inspiration sa buhay ko, ang aking naging good friend who's also a personal finance advocate at RFP and my former co-host in a show called On the Money. Her name is Salve Duplito. Siya rin po, if you know her story, she came from poverty. And as she rose out of poverty, she was able to help her family, her children now, she raised them and she's done well for herself. She's now talking about personal finance. At ito pong sabi niya, and I want to close with this line. Salve says, it is an excuse, it can be an excuse to be born in poverty, but it is not an excuse to die in poverty. In other words, we have a choice. While we live and breathe, we can choose to say, will I let this defeat me and define me, or will I find a way to overcome this? With the principles I talked about earlier, right? Some practical things. Hindi po pwedeng yung big time, yung pag nakakuha, gastos kagad. Instead, how do I make it grow? Seed time. Pangalawa po, why are we driving? What's driving us? Maybe there's an emptiness. We need to move from sana all to say, God, you are all. And then, finally, this part. It is possible. And there's a verse I love that reminds us of this. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And He will do that if you receive Him. So yan po. I hope this helps us in changing our behavior so that we might improve the way we handle money moving forward.